those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
All right, what's up, everybody? A very happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate everybody being here. We have a lot to get to today and a lot to go over. Had some very special guests, some big announcements on the show to talk about. Coming up here in just a few minutes, we're going to be joined by a guy who lost his job, who lives out in Illinois. He's a facility operations specialist for the U.S. Forest Service. This is going on throughout the country where so many people are losing their jobs who used to work for the government. So we're talking to him and getting his personal story. Of course, Nicole Mitchell coming up in hour number 2. We are on Occupy Democrats, the Washington Press Network. Of course, my personal YouTube page at PTL Radio Show. If you noticed in the YouTube Super Chat, we have those goals set in there. And for your questions and comments with donations, we will read those on the air live for you. Of course, the personal website as well, which is pushingthelimits.live, where you can buy merchandise and make donations there as well. We're going to get into this Gavin Newsom interview that he did with the white supremacist sympathizer Charlie Kirk. But before I get to that, I got to talk about at least what I would consider the biggest news over the course of the last 24 hours. And if you haven't already heard, Russia fired cruise and ballistic missiles at Ukraine in a major overnight attack. Now, as you know, the United States suspended military aid and intelligence sharing with Ukraine. Russia's assault targeted several regions across the Ukraine, using nearly 70 missiles and almost 200 drones. And Zelensky said on X that the massive attack was directed against infrastructure that ensures normal life. And my heart goes out to all the people, the good people in the Ukraine, of course. Now, Ukraine was unable to repel the ballistic missiles, which travel at about 5 times the speed of sound. The only weapon in Ukraine's arsenal capable of downing ballistic missiles is the U.S.-made Patriot system, which were already in short supply. The F-16 fighter jets, as well as a barrage of aircraft provided by France, were used to repel the attack. And one of the big reasons why Russia was somewhat successful in this attack is because Donald Trump has halted the help that Ukraine desperately needs. Now, if that wasn't bad enough as it is, I want to play for you Donald Trump today, when asked about Putin's attack on Ukraine. I want you to listen to what Donald Trump had to say.
Peter? It's a lot of soldiers on both sides, I agree. Do you, Mr. President, think that Vladimir Putin is taking advantage of the U.S. pause right now on intelligence and military aid to Ukraine?
No, I actually think he's doing what anybody else would do. I think he wants to get it stopped and settled, and I think he's hitting them harder than he's been hitting them. And I think probably anybody in that position would be doing that right now. He wants to get it ended, and I think Ukraine wants to get it ended, but I don't see it's crazy. They're taking tremendous punishment. I don't quite get it, but I suspect, Michael, he probably wants to get it ended.
I suspect that he probably wants to get it ended. Quote, he's doing what anybody else would do. They fired cruise and ballistic missiles into Ukraine overnight. And the president of the United States is saying he's doing what, quote, anybody else would do. If we had any other president leading this country, heck, even George W. Bush, for example, they would be calling out Putin for the actions that he took overnight, but not Donald Trump. He's praising Putin. He's telling everybody, the world, he's doing what anybody else would do, while Donald Trump today continued to attack Vladimir Zelensky. Folks, this is disgusting. This is despicable. This is disgraceful. Use any word you want to use in the dictionary. These congressional Republicans, any of them for that matter, who will agree with the President of the United States, or worse even, say nothing and be silent because they are all cowards with no backbone. How could the President of the United States sit there in the Oval Office in front of the media today and not do anything else but praise Vladimir Putin and again attack Zelensky when they sent missiles into Ukraine today? Zelensky said it himself. It's a direct infrastructure threat to Ukraine to ensure normal life, which is what Vladimir Putin does not want for the good people in Ukraine. And today, Trump coddled Putin again. How could anybody be okay with this? How? Dave, thank you for your YouTube contribution. Dave says, we know we can't count on Congress to help now. We can't count on the courts. We can only count on ourselves. Make ready. It's going to get ugly. Well, it certainly got ugly in Ukraine today. Why are no House Republicans speaking out on this? Well, I'll tell you why, because they're afraid of Donald Trump. That's why. We were told by this man that this war would be over in 24 hours. Don't you remember the false promises that he made? He said it himself. All I have to do is pick up the phone, and it'll be over in 24 hours. Well, how's that worked out? And even worse, our allies fighting this war, Donald Trump has halted on not only military aid to Ukraine, but also intelligence. You cannot tell me that didn't help play a role in these attacks that have hurt people in Ukraine. How could anybody defend this? How could anybody be silent on this? How? Please explain that to me. How? And while all this stuff is going on, we have workers across the country that are losing their jobs. All over the country, those who have served, those who are working as forest rangers, forest service providers, those working within the government, all sorts of different jobs. Those who are working in very important positions to keep the government going. These are not just Democrats that are losing their jobs. They're Republicans, some of whom voted for Donald Trump. One of those workers who lost their job recently, and I'm sad to hear about it, joins us right now on the show. He's known as Eric Iggy Ogdachak, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, my friend.
Quite right.
Facility operations specialist for the U.S. Forest Service out in Illinois. Eric, I do appreciate you being here, and I'm sorry we are meeting under these circumstances. I'm sorry about the loss of your job, but how are you, sir?
Thank you very much for having me and letting us, folks like us, voice our situation, because it doesn't seem like many other people are. I'm fine. The prevailing sentiment is anger, not just for my situation, but for everyone else, because we all got fired under false pretenses. We got fired under the guise of poor performance. That has not been the case for any of us that have been dismissed. Actually, everyone that has been dismissed in our unit, which is about a third of the force there, all of us have received incredibly positive reviews. You know, we don't come to the Forest Service to milk the government dole. We came there to actually do a job. Mm-hmm. Coming to work for the Forest Service is not walking by a storefront and seeing a for help or help wanted sign and you just want to take it down. It's not like, yeah, this will fill my job situation for now. It's a 6-month process to get a government job. It is, you go through all kinds of checks. You come in and you swear an oath to the government, to the Constitution, to do this job. And all of us have done that. once once the administration took over, that's when all the chaos started. We started getting really messed up emails, threats, suggestions that we should just leave on our own, saying, "Hey, you could go on the vacation of your dreams right now. Just leave. Just leave the government." I've been here for 13 months. I took this job because I knew that it was going to be stability. I was an independent contractor before this. I came here understanding that it was going to be stability, and that quickly changed. I plan to retire here. I have financial advisors that I've hired, and like, if you just keep doing this, if you maintain all your TSP, which is like the 401k for the government, like, you are good.
So Eric, I want to make sure for the listeners that I understand what you were doing. You were a facility operations specialist for the U.S. Forest Service. Do I have that right? And you said you were there for 13 months. Just for context. Okay, so you're there for 13 months. Let's rewind a little bit. Donald Trump gets elected. And can you please explain to me the threats you got? Where did it start where you said to yourself, Eric, my job security might be in trouble. We might be in a lot of trouble. What was the first sign for you?
The first sign for all of us was before he even came in. I mean, he was saying this stuff vocally. He's like, "Hey, we're going to reduce the government." Now, as a Forest Service employee, we know that we are not a revenue generating place. We manage the forest. And where I worked is not actually a forest. It's a prairie. So we don't even have timber to sell. That is not part of our situation. What we do offer is the largest public land in the Chicago area. And this has been a fantastic project. We have bison. We have botanists that have been recreating the prairie for the past 20 years to make it look what it was before European settlement 200 years ago. But this threat was coming from that time. And pretty much as soon as he came in, we started getting those Doge emails saying, basically, it was a deferment situation. Like, we're going to leave. Just leave your job. You have the opportunity to leave now, and you'll get paid for a few months. This isn't going to work out for you. Quit now. And then they said, "Hey, you're going to get an email within the next 24 hours to find out what your situation is, what your status is as a probationary employee." And then the next day, the email comes in and says, "Oh, well, there's no status change. We're just letting you know that you're under threat." The way that I was terminated, it was on February 15th. I was actually on leave, on vacation. I called my direct supervisor on that Friday because we're getting all this information. We're getting all these leads from Reddit, from the news, people texting to each other. Everything is a dangerous situation right now. Right. I called him before he left for the day. "Hey, do I still have a job on Tuesday when I come back after President's Day?" Mm-hmm. And he's like, "As far as I know, you're good."
And this is your boss.
This is my immediate supervisor. Yes.
Can I just interject one thing, Eric? And I want you to continue. And there's a reason why I'm asking this, because I don't know your political affiliation. Are you a Trump supporter? Did you vote for Trump? If you don't mind me asking.
Fuck no.
Okay. So I'm with you on that, but
I know I want to add some peers that were.
No, that was what my next question. My next question was for some of your coworkers that lost their jobs that did vote for Donald Trump. What are they saying? This is the guy that they supported. What are they saying?
Sure. So I know that the folks in my immediate group, in my unit that were terminated, I want to say that I'm trusting that all of them were not Trump supporters. But I know that there are many throughout the Forest Service that were, and there's one lady that is being completely eviscerated, leopards ate my face situation. Because she believed that it was going to be, "Oh yeah, this is what I'm voting for. This is my one issue situation." And she and her husband lost their job and everything else that they needed to go along with it. They're there. And is there regret? Sure. But they still believe in, the situations. Like,
that's got to be
this is the man that I need in my life.
I can't even imagine how frustrating that is for you. So look, Eric, Trump is affecting all of us, I would argue, in negative ways, but here you are, a nice guy, qualified, you lose your job. And it appears to me the only reason why you lost your job is because of Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And I can't imagine, the stress that you're going through and the anger that you must feel. And at the same time, there are a lot of federal workers, as you just mentioned, across the country that voted for Donald Trump. Some of them are angry. Some of them are disappointed. And yet some of them are still Trump supporters. Like, Eric, I can't even fathom. I can't even understand that. I don't get it.
Me neither, but it's there. It's there. And, the only way that we could try to negotiate any of this is just cult-like affiliation. They knew what was going to happen. And even the folks that were not terminated, that I actually do think are Trump supporters, I know they are in a dismal situation because our workforce was so completely diluted. The mission is not able to be completed at our unit. Like we're gone. It's not just me. It's everyone that's gone.
Eric,
all the different facilities that are gone.
Eric, what did you get like an email the day that you found out that and it seems to me like you kind of saw this coming, which you're a smart guy. I think a lot of people did, but I want to know, like, the day you lost your job, how did that go down? Can you take us through that? Did you get an email? Did you talk to your boss? What happened there?
Sure. So like I was saying, I asked my boss, my direct supervisor on Friday, do I have a job on Tuesday? That Monday was President's Day of all days. Mm-hmm. He said, yes, you still have a job. I got a phone call at noon the next day saying, Eric, you were not on the list yesterday. You were on the list today.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm on vacation. I'm visiting my newborn nephew. And there was nothing I could do. And they said, you need to be in the office by Tuesday so that you could get all your stuff out of your office and download all of your necessary documents, all of your employment documents, all of your stuff that you need for unemployment.
What was the reason they gave you? Why were you on the list? Did they even give you a reason?
So everyone that is hired has an automatic probationary status. Some are 1 year, some are 2 years. Mine was 2 years with an exception. I had to get a doctor's note for that exception. I was 13 months in. There are people that were dismissed with less than a month left of that sort of probation.
It's almost like a police officer that's waiting to get retirement and something happens, not to no fault of his own, a couple months before he retires. I mean, that's kind of what it reminds me of.
Trump has done that with generals.
Right. Correct. All right. So
right after that, it was an email, and the substance that they used as the excuse or the determination for the termination was poor performance.
Were they
None of us had
specific?
poor performance. I have documents, and all of us do, and that's why we had to get those documents. That's why it was so important to get these documents off of our computers. Thankfully, I printed them out, and I was able to make PDFs of them. But good. I have awards of like financial awards. I have paid time off awards to reflect our positive performance.
Right.
And pretty much everyone got that exact same thing.
Let's backtrack, Eric. Let's backtrack. I just want to review what you just said, because this is this is horrible. So you're working as a facility operations specialist in Illinois for 13 months. You're on a 2-year probationary period. You've received awards. You've done a good job. Your boss on Friday tells you, no, you're not on this list. You should be okay. And then you find out, a few days later that you're on this list. You lose your job. The only reason you get is poor performance, where you've never even been written up for anything. You haven't done anything wrong. You've received all these rewards. Where do you go from here? Do you guys have any legal ramifications moving forward? You can't just fire somebody and say poor performance without anything to back that up. I mean, where do you go from here?
I'll say a few things towards that. First is, we were never defended by our immediate supervisors, by our Congress, by anyone, our leadership. There was no defense. I was like, okay, this is the direction that we're getting as an executive order. This is coming from Doge. This is coming from Trump. And they get the email, and 5 minutes later, they have to call us. There's been no defense for us. What we have been able to do is sign up for a number of class action lawsuits to push us forward. I'm on 2 if not 3. I'm a little confused on the situation on that. And we were asked to participate in the Forest Service Union to help us through that. I am a supervisory role, so I actually do not qualify for the union. They said, we're going to help you, but we can't help you. But that is really it. That is our only recourse. The main recourse that we have is having conversations like you and I are having right now. It's
Well,
getting
guess what?
media
That's
so people could hear us, that we are here. We're not just the lazy folks that you don't see or hear about sitting in an office. I've been on 3 fire assignments. In the 13 months that I've been in the Forest Service, I've actually become a wildland firefighter support service as well. You know, we are active. We are doing things, but we are here. I am in Chicago. I know that people don't realize that there's forest around Chicago, but there is a whole team of about 50 people immediately here that are really working towards this. And the only way that we have is to have these conversations like we're having right now.
Absolutely. So, Eric, my next question was this, and if you could explain what you would say in a PG-13 way, because we're on the radio. If you had the opportunity to speak to Elon Musk and Donald Trump in a room directly right now, no cameras, nobody there but Donald Trump and Elon Musk, who I think we both could agree are 2 of the people that are at the forefront of why you lost your job, what would you say to them right now?
I apologize for being a potty mouth.
That's okay. That's okay.
There wouldn't be many words. It would be confrontational. I hate to say it. I can't explain to them because they don't want to listen. And that's something that we all know. They are refusing to listen to any of us. They came in as he's waving around his chainsaw. You know, there was other pundits that were saying, oh yeah, he's going in there surgically to clean up all these departments. But they're openly saying, we're going in there with a wood chipper. We're waving around on screen a chainsaw. There's nothing you could say. They don't care. This is not about anything. Like, there's no defense for us. You know, there's no standing up. We have a mission. The agencies that we work for have a mission, and we've been working on that. That doesn't matter to them. The soonest we were starting getting laid off, the next action that we're seeing is that they're talking about selling off 280 million acres of forest land for timber.
Right.
We know what the agenda is.
Yeah.
You know, and this is an unelected official who's making these calls. We are under oath defending this land, but we don't have any action on this. We have no force in this.
Right. That's what's so unfortunate.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I can't say any words. Words don't matter anymore.
Right.
I would not say any words. And I hate to say it, I would get a little, less than pleasant.
Understandably. I don't blame you, Eric. Listen, I am so sorry what you and your family are going through now. It's one thing to lose your job for cause, but it's another thing to lose your job for doing nothing but doing your job and doing it correctly. And whether that be, a facility operations specialist like yourself, or somebody in law enforcement, somebody in the FBI who investigated January 6th, anybody. There are our military veterans, those that have lost their jobs, some of whom work in the government. There are people across the country. We need thousands and thousands of people just like you, good, hardworking Americans, educated people, good people, whether they voted for Donald Trump or not, that are losing their job because of Donald Trump and because of Elon Musk. And we need to hear more from people like you. Your voices need to be heard. If there's anything we can do for you, you're welcome to come back anytime. If you get any updates on any civil lawsuit or anything that's going on, we certainly want to hear about that. And I'm on your side. I mean, I'll always be on your side, Eric, people like you. And this is awful. This is terrible. And this is Donald Trump's America.
This is Donald Trump's America. If I could add,
Sure.
I was on NPR just a few days ago also discussing this topic. While the few of us sat down, we put on our headphones. There was the announcement that the USDA is being asked to reinstate just under 6,000 employees. The Forest Service itself lost around 2,000 people. It is mandated somehow. I don't know what the legalese is, that within 5 days, we're supposed to hear that we have to report back to the office or not. I called my supervisor. They don't know anything about it. But what is coming up really soon is the end of the continuing resolution. So come midnight on March 14th, the budget will likely end. which means furlough for everyone. So even if I were told to come back to the office on Monday, this coming Monday, by Friday, more than likely, we will be all on furlough. Now, one of the things that is with the furlough, if you are not asked to come back to the office within 30 days, you are technically considered to be not essential. And if you're not essential in those 30 days, you are qualified to be terminated because you are not essential. So that is the next step. You know, we're told that we might come back to the office. We don't know. Our bosses don't know. No one knows. We don't have the leadership that is able to fight for this, get the right answers, nothing. I get more information from Reddit than anywhere else.
Isn't that sad? It's kind of like, you know, the unwanted and unneeded stress that is being put on you, even put on the good people in Canada or Mexico with these tariffs. First, he's going to tariff you, then he's not going to tariff you. Think about all the stress he's putting on people, and you know, undocumented. Yeah, and undocumented immigrants and so many of them nonviolent criminals that they're deported. I mean, it's just, listen, the stress he's putting on Americans and people like you and people, quite frankly, across the world, it's despicable. Eric, we got your back, my friend. If there's anything we can do for you, you always have a voice on this show, and we'll welcome you back. You're a smart guy. You're qualified. I know it doesn't feel great right now, but you are going to land back on your feet. You're going to find another job with your resume. You're going to get through this, and I know you are, because you're a talented guy, and I know you are. But I appreciate you sharing your story. I wish we could have met under better circumstances, my friend. But you got my number. If there's anything we can do for you, please let me know, Eric. And I appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate that. All right, everybody. That's Eric Ignashik, facility operations specialist, Forest Service. He just lost his job out of Illinois for no reason. They said, oh, poor job performance. This is a guy that's gotten awards. He's never been written up. So that's a lie. And I'm going to give these people platforms on this show, because they deserve a platform, because they're good, hardworking Americans, and Donald Trump is to blame, and maybe Elon Musk as well, for why they are losing their jobs. It's disgusting. Just like the statements that Donald Trump made today about Vladimir Putin and Zelensky. These missile strikes overnight, taking the side of Putin again. Well, I think anybody would have done what Putin did. Despicable and disgusting that this is the America that I'm living in today. Now, yesterday, I was openly criticizing Democrats such as Jared Moskowitz and the 10 other Democrats that decided that they thought it was the right thing to do to vote to censure Al Green. And I said it yesterday and I'll say it today. They're cowards. And another man that I am extremely disappointed in is the governor of California, and Gavin Newsom. Now, listen, I've said some nice things about Jared Moskowitz in the past. I'm done. And I'm done saying nice things about Gavin Newsom as well. Listen, if Gavin Newsom ran against Donald Trump or a MAGA Republican tomorrow, obviously I'd vote for Gavin Newsom. But I don't want him to run for president. I'm done. Why? Not because he decided to give Charlie Kirk a platform, and not because he decided to interview Charlie Kirk. That's not my issue. I interview a lot of people on this show that I disagree with. In fact, Enrico Tarrio, the leader of the Proud Boys, is going to be doing this show next week. I disagree with him, but I welcome him to come on. He accepted the invitation. I don't have a problem with Gavin Newsom interviewing Charlie Kirk. What I have a problem with is no pushback. You're literally sitting a few feet away from a white supremacist sympathizer. Zero pushback from Gavin Newsom yesterday. Utterly disappointing, for lack of a better term. Now, this is where the interview started, where I actually agree with both of them on at least one topic. But this is Gavin Newsom and Charlie Kirk talking about trans athletes in sports. Have a listen to this.
It's like, you right now should come out and be like, you know what? The young man who's about to win the state championship in the long jump in female sports,
right,
that shouldn't happen. You as the governor should step out and say no.
No, and I appreciate
but like, would you do something like that? Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. So that's easy to call out, the unfairness of that. There's also a humility and a grace, that these poor people are more likely to commit suicide, have anxiety and depression. And the way that people talk down to vulnerable communities is an issue that I have a hard time with as well. So both things I can hold in my hand. How can we address this issue with the kind of decency that I think, is inherent in you, but not always expressed.
It's like you
So, listen, I don't disagree with Gavin Newsom there. I don't disagree with Charlie Kirk there, even though I think Charlie Kirk is an imbecile and a bigot. But I do agree, and I've been pretty consistent on that, that I do not believe that if you've had the surgery, yes or no, whatever you identify as, if you're a naturally born man, you should be competing with women. Okay, fine. Don't have a problem there. Now, I would have gone into his bigotry. Gavin Newsom didn't do that. And then he goes into this, I don't know if you heard this. We're going to play the clip for you where Gavin Newsom's son, I guess, is a fan of Charlie Kirk. By the way, let me repeat once again. Charlie Kirk is a white supremacist sympathizer who has made money in his career off of attacking the trans community, attacking the LGBTQ community, attacking minorities, recently saying, well, I should be worried if somebody's a black pilot on my plane. He's a despicable human being, and he's just as ugly on the inside as he is outside, in my personal opinion. But this is the moment where Gavin Newsom starts talking about how his son is a fan of Charlie Kirk, and it made me want to vomit. Have a listen to this.
Last night, trying to put my son to bed, he's like, no, Dad, what time? What time's Charlie going to be here? What time? And I'm like, dude, you're in school tomorrow. He's 13. He's like, no. This morning, wakes up at 6 something. He's like, I'm coming. I'm like, he literally would not leave the house.
did you let him take off school?
No, he did. Of course not. He's not here for a good reason. But the point is
Come on,
the
you canceled
point.
school for like 2 years. Once one day.
The point is the point, which is you are making a damn dent.
Thank you. I'm kidding.
When you go to these college campuses, I love watching your TikTok, which is
Thank
next
you.
level. And clearly, that's expressed by my 13-year-old son.
I want to meet this guy.
Yeah, I actually
He's
am
coming to a Turning Point event this summer, Tampa, Florida, Student Action Summit.
I actually am by the way, if
You
you
should
did,
be concerned.
but so let me say here is why I'm concerned, because you have expressed that I should be concerned as a Democrat that we're getting
That's true. Okay.
clobbered.
Yes.
That you figured something out.
It's
The
not me. The president first deserves the credit.
But why? No, hold on. You were at this before Trump was
No,
Trump.
I know, but
he was a Democrat back in 2011
Yeah, but
and 12.
the president deserves huge credit. And I just have to say that as an obligatory thing, because without him,
No, I
our
appreciate-
movement would be small. And you can appreciate that in politics. You have to appreciate the person
Did
who is
he,
the catalyst.
for you, that's what you sort of attached
It
an
was
identity
also
with
just the catalyst. It was a cultural moment that just opened us up.
All right, so that conversation makes me sick. First of all, Gavin Newsom knows who Charlie Kirk is. He's praising his TikTok and he's praising his social media. Again, if you just look at what Charlie Kirk is all about, he's about division, he's about hatred, he's about bigotry. He attacks the trans and gay community every day. He is the white version of Candace Owens. They have made a career out of attacking people that are less fortunate. And the fact that Gavin Newsom wouldn't challenge him on any of the horrific statements he's made about Democrats, the statements he's made about black people and DEI hires, for example. Gavin Newsom didn't push back on him at all. Not because Newsom isn't capable of, but he's kissing his ass. There has to be a reason for that. And I think the reason is Gavin Newsom wants to be more of a centrist and maybe wants to try to appeal for those on the far right, which will never happen anyway. It's sick. It's disgusting and it's sick. And this conversation, I want to play a little bit more of this conversation, but it goes to show you that I will never, ever endorse Gavin Newsom again. If he runs for president, I don't want him to run for president based on this conversation alone. But have a listen to this.
How about the book ban stuff? On a serious note, 4,240 books or titles, libraries and schools were banned in 2023. Is that not as a conservative?
Well, it depends.
that
I mean, like,
offend?
I think we can both agree pornography should not be taught to 9-year-olds.
Fair point.
Okay,
Fair.
so that's a book ban.
All right. Well, there were some other books.
Oh, no.
Bill
Hold on.
O'Reilly's
that
book
was the
banned.
Moms for Liberty contention. Time out.
Yeah.
Like, I agree on Bill O'Reilly. The Moms for Liberty movement
others.
that you made a big thing of was just no porn to 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
We agree. So those books should be banned.
Well, okay.
So what we should do right now is every California school that has porn in their library should be kicked out.
Does that
is a
include the
book ban.
Bible?
Well, I wouldn't say the Song of Solomon is porn.
No, but I
it-
mean, some have made that point. Is that a fair
I,
point? Or
I
is
don't.
it
I don't
offensive?
think that's fair
And as a
at
man
all.
of faith, and I deeply admire that about you.
Thank you.
I deeply admire that about you. You are a man of faith. The words of Gavin Newsom. Let me tell you something. If I'm running against Gavin Newsom as a Democrat, which I won't be, but if I was, I would play that bite over and over and over again. He is praising Charlie Kirk as a man of faith. I appreciate that about you. When Charlie Kirk thinks that anybody who is gay is a sinner, he attacks the trans community 24/7. He attacks the black community, it appears as though 24/7. He's a bigot. He is a racist. And by the way, this is the guy who paid Kyle Rittenhouse to make speeches at college universities. You would think that Gavin Newsom would bring that up. If I invited Charlie Kirk on this show, don't you think I would bring some of these things up? We're talking about Gavin Newsom, very intelligent, educated man who I believe wants to be the next president of the United States. It can't happen, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, if he runs against someone like a Donald Trump, I would vote for him just on policy purposes alone, but I don't want this guy to run for president. He has just embarrassed himself, and he has embarrassed the Democrat Party with the way he coddled Charlie Kirk. And the conversation goes on, and ladies and gentlemen, it gets worse. Have a listen to how it continued.
We're losing. We have I feel it's the asymmetry of Donald Trump and Elon Musk sending out tweets, or you doing social media, and then me doing a 3-minute hit at 3:00 in the afternoon on CNN. I mean, how the hell do we compete? We're toast.
Well, I mean, part of it, and credit to you for doing long form podcasting, because long form podcasting does penetrate different audiences, right? And our show does very well. But part of the problem of the Democrat Party that for the health of the country would be great to change is that Democrats cannot survive in long form podcasting environments.
Why?
It's too unscripted. It's too masculine, honestly. And the Democrat Party's become too
What is
feminine.
masculine about a podcast? Honestly, because
Yeah, masculine. Because the first person I think of when I think of somebody that's masculine is Charlie Kirk. I'm sorry, is there anybody in this country that looks at a picture of Charlie Kirk and the first thing you say is, wow, that guy is very masculine? I don't even know what is he talking about? There are plenty of left-leaners out there that can do long-form podcasts. I, for one, can tell you, I can only speak for myself, I would sit down and do 3 hours with Charlie Kirk unscripted if I had to. I would sit down with anybody in this country and sit down. Listen, I was ganged up upon 3 against 1 when I did the Piers Morgan show the other day. I didn't have any notes in front of me. I didn't know exactly what we were going to be talking about, but I was prepared and I was ready. And I thought I handled myself quite well. There are plenty of Democrats that are capable of doing that. Yes, there are some Democrats and Republicans, quite frankly, that are not. But how many times do you hear a Sean Hannity or a Mark Levin or a Laura Ingraham or a Jesse Waters do 1 hour, a 1 hour debate with a liberal? Now, I understand Gavin Newsom has done the Sean Hannity show a few times, but other than him, this is not just one side. Okay. Yes, I would like to see more Democrats do long form podcasts. Yes, I would like to see more Democrats go on right wing shows. A lot of these right wingers don't want to do it. They don't want to sit down and they don't want to have that discussion. So for Charlie Kirk to say it's only the left makes him the imbecile that we know that he is.
Democrat Party's become
what is
too feminine.
masculine about a podcast? Honestly, because I get the whole manosphere, this bro podcast
to go
stuff.
into the wilderness with no rules and duel it out and see who's better or who's stronger. No, seriously. I mean, like what? No, I mean, like
we don't do it.
No,
You're right. We, for whatever reason, don't do it.
You can laugh, but like who in the Democrat Party?
We're not. You're right.
Will go. I mean, maybe Bernie Sanders, but he only went for like an hour and a
when
half.
he was a Democrat.
Well, Bobby, who's now HHS.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
there's something to be said that if you want to earn the respect of forgotten America, you have to show them that you can intellectually joust with no script, no hard breaks, no producers in the ears.
Love that.
Let me repeat what I just said. When was the last time Mark Levin is one of the most successful right-wing shows around. When was the last time Mark Levin invited a liberal to do a show? It's not that the liberals or the Democrats don't want to do it. It's that many of these right-wing idiots don't invite them to come on. So again, he's making it like it's one-sided. When was the last time Laura Ingraham had a liberal on her show to debate? When was the last time Jesse Waters did a debate with a liberal for an hour on his show? How many times did Rush Limbaugh invite liberals on his show to debate? Don Imus certainly didn't do that, hardly ever. There are very few right-wingers out there that are on television and do podcasts. Very few. There are some, but very few that duke it out with liberals on a regular basis. So again, why that Gavin Newsom didn't push back on that is extremely disappointing. I'll get to that, but let's continue.
Now, I'll only challenge one thing you say. I am reaching new audiences. I'm not talking to my bubble. because our content is so appealing.
Yeah, it's so
it goes
great.
in a decentralized way.
And it's not just political.
Appealing,
it's not political,
appealing to
but, like,
racists.
again, our conversation here is going to go far and wide, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to see it. A lot of people are going to consume it because it's also politics and entertainment have begun to overlap, right? And the old adage is, well, politics is downstream from culture. I think politics and culture are indecipherable from one another now. Donald Trump became a cultural phenomenon, right? You go into, inner city Compton, you'll see guys with Trump shirts with, the
that's
hand
happening.
up,
Cut it.
fight.
Okay. What a joke. First of all, Donald Trump got about 7% of the female black vote. He got somewhere around 20% of the male black vote. For Charlie Kirk to say that you can go into Compton today and you'll see a bunch of MAGA Trump supporters makes Charlie Kirk an idiot that he is. It's not true. It's very rare. And there's a reason why the Republican Party gets so few of the minority vote, particularly the black vote. Let me repeat, about 94% of black women did not vote for Donald Trump. About 80% of black men did not vote for Donald Trump. And Charlie Kirk is trying to make the case that, I guess because of his podcast, so many black people in Compton are wearing MAGA outfits. He's a liar and he's an imbecile.
To, inner city Compton, you'll see guys with Trump shirts with, the hand up, fight. Yeah. So what Democrats are doing is you're still playing in a very old, hyper-sanitized media environment. Right. And my advice is you got to go where it's unpredictable, where it's treacherous, where it's dangerous. Now, I would make a more provocative argument that you wouldn't necessarily resonate with, which is that you guys have not built the intellectual muscle over 30 years because you all agree with each other all the time.
Not true.
Well, not like conservatives are massively disagreeing.
Well, hold on.
Trump has completely collapsed the conservative movement.
I would push back a little bit.
Okay, let me push back a little bit, you clown. The entire Republican Party has been hijacked by Donald Trump. There are MAGA Republicans and conservatives throughout the party that disagree with a lot of what Donald Trump says and a lot of what Donald Trump does. But the reason why they don't speak out about it publicly is because you guys threaten them and you say that you're going to get them out in 2022. You are going to raise money if they do not endorse a certain person in his administration, or if they don't approve of what he is doing in any way, shape, or form, that you single-handedly are going to raise money and make sure they don't get reelected. So for Charlie Kirk to complain that the Democrats all agree on everything and they never disagree is a joke. Donald Trump has literally hijacked the party.
I would disagree. We have a robust discussion.
Well, it seems like Congress is really doing great oversight of Trump right now. They're holding him to account.
That's an important but separate issue. I just want to finish the point, then we could talk about Congress, which is that in the Republican Party, we have immense and vocal and public spats all the time. I think you would agree. We fight about foreign policy. Look at Ukraine, right? We're talking about primary challenging some of these senators that were meeting Zelensky last week. The Democrat Party would never do that. Now, I think that is a symptom of an underlying thing. We're constantly trying to find the approximation of what truth is. We're trying to use dialogue towards, hey, who's right? What do you believe? Why do you believe it? And it's by no coincidence that out of the long form podcasting genres, the top 10, 8 of them are conservative or center right.
Hold
Rogan,
on. Cut it right
Megyn
there.
Kelly.
Cut it right there. Midas Touch says the #1 podcast in America. You doofus. You doofus, you. Okay. Midas Touch has the #1 podcast around. Okay. Yeah, I understand Joe Rogan has a popular podcast. He's #2. But Midas Touch has the #1 most popular podcast in America. And last I checked, they are not right wing or right leaning.
Them are conservative or center right. Rogan, Megyn Kelly, Theo Vaughn, the Paul brothers,
Shapiro.
our program, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh. There's a singular one on the left, which is Pod Save America, which is just like a bunch of Obama bros agreeing with each other for 90 minutes and saying
that's what it
that
is.
we're not very smart.
Yeah.
And,
well, you're not.
So anyway, but I
appreciate it. No, but objective truth, right? I mean, you just dominate this media. I mean, it's medium. But it's interesting. You're making a deeper argument that we're not. And you didn't say it in a maligning way, but that we're just not capable because we're not hardwired.
Well, I think it's
to
two
be
things.
able to participate in.
Well,
this.
I think that it's two things. Number one, your upbringing in college campuses does not foster debate like it used to. It just doesn't. It's that it's about silencing the critic and the elevation of the victim. So you do not have the practice of robust having to defend your position. It's very monolithic. It's very centralized. It's very top down. It's quasi-authoritarian. And then secondly, I would just say that the philosophy on the worldview, as I mentioned earlier, that you guys have adopted is that thou which is oppressed will get the most points. You guys don't have thou that has the best idea wins. And because of that, you guys have an elevation of like, hey, we're just going to have a small subset of a minoritarian hectoring hall monitor assistant principal vibe of people telling you that you're not allowed to say these words and you can't say that. And we call that political correctness, which in and of itself is hyper authoritarian. So if you seek to understand why young men are rebelling, it's like, no, I'm not going to go along with this anymore.
What an embarrassment. Gavin Newsom with apps. You think I would have sat there and I would have taken that from this guy? You know what I would have said? You're the guy that paid Kyle Rittenhouse to speak on college campuses. And you want to lecture us on what people are talking about on college campuses? You paid Kyle Rittenhouse to speak on college campuses, buddy. You're the one that attacks and talks about DEI 24/7. You're the one that talks about trans athletes 24/7. You're the one that continues to divide this country with hatred and bigotry. And you want to lecture me? Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to entertain your stupidity. You high school dropout, you. And Gavin Newsom just sat there and allowed Charlie Kirk to dominate the conversation. Make no mistake about it. I'm not going to lie to all of you. Charlie Kirk dominated that conversation. And it's not because Gavin Newsom isn't smarter, because he is. He just sat there and decided to take the bait because he wants to run for president in 2028 and he wants to appeal to others. And I'm telling you right now that this is going to backfire on him. It's certainly backfired for me. I will not endorse this man, and I do not want him running for president. And I ain't talking about Charlie Kirk. I am talking about Gavin Newsom. I do not want Gavin Newsom to run for president. I don't trust him anymore. I don't mind the fact that Charlie Kirk did his podcast. That's not what I am getting at here. In fact, I welcome that. I want people with opposing views, even bad people like Charlie Kirk. Go ahead and do the show. But for God's sakes, Gavin, push back on what he's saying. Don't laugh at what he says. Push back on it. He didn't do any of that stuff. And this is another reason why Donald Trump is president of the United States. Not just because of Gavin Newsom not showing any backbone at all in that interview with Charlie Kirk, who is a despicable human being. It's not like you don't have a list of things that Charlie Kirk has said that are despicable and racist in nature. If that's not bad enough, Hakeem Jeffries yesterday, who I've criticized a lot over the course of the last few months, at least since the elections, Hakeem Jeffries at a news conference yesterday was asked about Newsom's opinions on girls in sport, trans women in sports. Listen to what Hakeem Jeffries had to say and the pathetic answer that he gave.
I want to ask about California Governor Gavin Newsom's comments saying that Democrats were in the wrong for allowing transgender athletes to compete in female and girls sports. What is your response to that after Democrats had opposed the women and girls in sports?
I haven't seen his comments. What Democrats opposed was unleashing sexual predators on girls throughout the United States of America.
Okay, fine, Hakeem, but answer the question. The question is about trans athletes competing with women on the playing field. Why can't you just say, yeah, I don't agree with that. I think it's unfair. And then we can move on to something else. I understand it's not a top 5 issue. I understand it's not a top 10 issue. But I was asked this on the Piers Morgan show, and I answered the question, and then I made them look foolish. You know why? I said, yeah, trans women shouldn't be competing with women. But if you guys care so much about women and you care so much about protecting them, then why is it in half the country abortion is illegal? In some states without exceptions. If you care so much about women, why do you guys vote against maternity leave? If you care so much about women, last I checked, there are many women in this country that are living paycheck to paycheck. They need food stamps. They need welfare. They need government programs to survive. Why do you guys vote against it? You seem to be obsessed about this trans issue. Oh, yeah, by the way, all the college athletes all across the country, there's about 14 trans athletes, but they want to make it like it's the number one issue. It's not even a top 20 issue. If you care so much about women, like you claim, and you care so much about this issue, then why do you want to tell women what to do with their bodies, with no exceptions? If you care so much about women's issues, why aren't you protecting women when it comes to all the violence in this country with weapons, maternity leave, I said that on the Pierce Morgan show, and they were stumped. They looked at me like a deer in headlights. Oh, I can't believe you brought that up. Oh, you're damn well I will. There are ways of agreeing with these right-wing fools on one issue, but then pushing back. Why couldn't Hakeem Jeffries do that yesterday? Oh, well, I'm unfamiliar with what Newsom said. He knows exactly what Gavin Newsom said. And what most people in this country believe, which is trans women should not be competing with born women on the playing field. Just give them a 5-second answer and then go into the things that I said. If MAGA Republicans care so much about women, and then go into your list of why they vote against the issues that women care about the most. But Hakeem Jeffries didn't do that because he's a coward. I'm going to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I am getting sick and tired of some of these Democrats with no backbone. There are some that I praise and I talk about on this show every day. Jared Moskowitz will never have my support ever again. And if he decides to do this show, I will tell him that. You're going to censor Al Green? Why don't you build a pair and the 9 other Democrats that voted to censor that man, who I do have respect for? Can we stop it with the nonsense already? When are Democrats going to be willing to go into the mud and fight fire with fire? They are cowards. And you know how MAGA Republicans put pressure on other Republicans that are not willing to, or that stand up to Donald Trump, which I applaud, by the way, but the MAGA Republicans threaten them. Well, guess what? Democrats need to take maybe a page from that playbook. And when 10 Democrats decide to censure Mr. Green, get them out of office. You're gone. Get lost. I have had it with these Democrats that don't have a backbone and they think they're tough because they sit down in their chair with their frown on their face and they show up their bingo signs. I am sick of it. They are disgraceful. They are embarrassing. We all know where the Republican Party is at right now. We know. But at least some of them, while I disagree with them, we all know they have an excuse. They're afraid of Donald Trump because Donald Trump has hijacked the Republican Party. We know that. I'm not saying I agree with it. They don't have a backbone either, but at least we know why they're doing it. They disagree with Donald Trump on a lot of issues. Yes, they're afraid to talk about it publicly because they're cowards, they don't have backbones, and they want to remain in office, and Donald Trump is their leader, and they're afraid. Okay, what is the excuse on the Democrat side? Can you please tell me what the excuse was? Why did you show up to that speech the other day and sit there like a fool? Why did you vote to censor Mr. Green? Why? You look like fools out there, Jared Moskowitz. You're a fool, and I will never support you again. And going back to this interview, Gavin Newsom, you look like a fool because you let Charlie Kirk play you, a guy who is a white supremacist sympathizer. He played you. You didn't challenge him on literally anything, and you let him walk all over you, and you even praised him that he's a man of God, talking about the Bible, and you said your son is a fan of his. What an embarrassment you are, Gavin Newsom. I will never defend you again. You've lost my respect, and I'm done. So we are going to open up the phone lines when we come back. The number is 702-221-7283. But before we do that, I do want to go to the YouTube Super Chat. We run an independently owned radio show here. So because we run an independently owned radio show, we rely on good people like you to check out my website, pushingthelimits.live. Pushingthelimits.live. You can make donations there. And you can also buy merchandise, shirts, hats, beanies, you name it, we sell it. You go to pushingthelimits.live, $5, $10, $20 a month, whatever you can afford. We certainly appreciate that. We want to thank Ida. Ida, with her donation on the YouTube Super Chat. Thank you, Ida, for your support of the Pushing the Limits radio show. She made a donation in the YouTube Super Chat, and we appreciate you. Hyperspace, since Newsom is now out of the picture, which of the top 3 would you pick for president? Harris, Josh Shapiro, Tim Walz. I'll pick Josh Shapiro. Well, I'm with you, Hyper. Josh Shapiro would probably right now, today, would be my number 1 pick with Jasmine Crockett as vice president. The weirdo. Thank you for your donation. Darn it, Brian. Quit making Charlie look dumber than we thought he was in memory of JD. Big Dog, thank you for your donation as well. It's the Democrat Party, not Democrat Party. Yes, I understand that. Sometimes at times, I do mispronounce things at time and again. I do that from time to time. And Shelly Morris, Brian, please tell Eric that I'm so sorry he and his family are going through it. Yes, I will. Delaney, thank you for your donation as well. I can't log into Facebook Live. Yeah, we're having some issues with Facebook on the Occupy Democrats Network page and on my end. I think it's a Facebook issue, but we are working in that for you. But I'm glad you're here in the YouTube chat. Nice Lord, Doge is in reality a created scam based on Elon. Yes, I do agree with that. Delaney, thank you for your donation. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we appreciate it. Antonio, we appreciate your donation as well. DNC needs to begin ground game now and not wait. Completely agree with you 150%. All right, it's your turn to shine now, okay? It is your turn to shine. Sunshine, speaking of your turn to shine. Sunshine, thank you for your donation. Dave Smith, thank you for your donations as well. We know we can't count on Congress to help now. No, we can't. You're right about that, Dave. Thank you for your donation. So the number to call, 702-221-7283. Again, that number, 702-221-7283. And before we take a break, and then we'll get to some calls, my thanks to Jackson's Bar and Grill, the official gaming bar of the PTL radio show. Great promotions this month, including on Mondays. If you earned 1,500 points, on Tuesday, you are going to get $100 in free slot play. You can't beat that. Great food, great promotions there. Please check them out, the official gaming bar of the PTL radio show, Jackson's Bar and Grill. The most interactive show in the Valley, certainly one of the most interactive shows across the country. And we are hearing from you next, your chance to sound off. What are your thoughts on Gavin Newsom? Do you think I'm overreacting? Or do you agree with me that he looked like a fool in that interview with Charlie Kirk? Take a break. Be back right after this. Again, that number, 702-221-7283. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at RadioYOU101.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, we got some great guests that are lined up for next week, some fiery guests, and some announcements that I can't even make yet until I 100% confirm it. But I can make these announcements. The leader of the Proud Boys, who was sentenced to decades behind bars for his role in January 6th. Yes, that's right. Enrique Tarrio is going to be joining us on the show next week. That is going to be a very interesting interview, that is for sure. And I will say this, unlike Gavin Newsom, I will give pushback, as I do on this show all the time. There's a way to do it respectfully. I will do that, but Enrique Tarrio has agreed to come on the show next week. Also, Luke Beasley. This is somebody that he actually has watched my show, reached out to me earlier today. Luke Beasley is going to be joining us on the show next week. So we're getting all the big names on the left, right? David Packman has done this show. JoJo from Jurors came on the show this week. And Don Lemon does this show all the time. And Luke Beasley is going to be joining us on the show. Ron Filipowski does the show every week. So Luke's going to be joining us on the show. So that's going to be A lot of fun. Roland Martin's going to be joining us on the show next week. I heard from you guys. Got to get Roland on the show. So Roland Martin's going to be joining us on the show as well next week. So you want to talk about some big names in this industry. Very proud to announce them. And Enrique Tarrio is going to be very entertaining. So I want to thank my sponsors of the PTL radio show, Aura. If you don't know who Aura is, what it is, there's certainly a smart and safe way to stay safe online. You got to protect your family from fraud. At one point or another in our life, unfortunately, it does happen to us. So you don't want big companies, of course, with poor security to be hacked either. Aura does all the hard work for you. They'll protect you from fraud, from online threats. We've all been through it. I've been through it. So here's the best part about this, right? With Aura, they are nice enough to give everybody, listeners of the PTL radio show, a free 14-day trial for being sponsors of the show. A free 14-day trial. You look at the link on the bottom there, aura.com/PTL. There's no risk, a free 2-week trial, and you'll be surprised on what they can find. Please support our sponsor, Aura, and try that 2-week trial for free. So I did promise we would get right back to the phone calls, and that's exactly what we are going to do right now. 702-221-7283. Let's start off with Vino, and Vino is calling out of Iowa. Hi, Vino.
Hi, Brian. Love your show.
Thank you.
Listen to it daily.
Thank you.
One guest I would encourage that you think about putting on would be Steve Schmidt.
Yeah, I love
like
Steve.
what he has to say.
I love Steve. I'll reach out to him. I think Steve is great.
So just talking about what you were saying about the Dems showing weakness. I mean, I'm ashamed to be a Democrat right now. I left messages on Jared Moskowitz's because I was like you. I thought he could be the future face of the Democratic Party. And what he did yesterday to Al Green was despicable. And I called the switchboard, and I would encourage other listeners to call the switchboard and leave messages on those 10 Democrats that voted to censor Al Green.
Yeah, I believe that those 10 Democrats are, for lack of a better term, cowards. I've defended Jared Moskowitz. I'm no longer going to defend him. I'm with you, my friend. I think it's an absolute embarrassment, and we need to call them out and get them out of office. I used to like Jared Moskowitz, not anymore. He showed me that he's a coward. I appreciate your call, sir. Thank you. And Schmidt is great, and I'll reach out to him. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Shay, who's calling out of D.C. Hey, Shay, what's going on?
Going on, Brian? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Man, Brian, we need some Democratic leadership change fast. I have no faith in Hakeem Jeffries, man. I think, like I told you a couple months back, this man is essentially the male version of Nancy Pelosi. And quite honest with you, I think a lot of those old Democratic lawmakers on the Hill, they are the Republican Party best friend. I think there's a lot of potential in this Democratic Party, but it is time for some within fighting in this Democratic to change this, man, because this is absolutely weak and cowardless what I'm seeing from this party.
Well, I certainly agree with you, and that's why I've called out particularly Gavin Newsom. I am so disappointed in him. I always appreciated the fact that he's willing to go on Sean Hannity's show, and I thought he did a good job when he did go on Fox News. But I thought this interview he did with Charlie Kirk was hard to watch. It was embarrassing. I mean, there was literally, am I wrong? There was literally no pushback at all in that interview.
I think he's not. I think this shuts his 2028 chances down, because the problem with this, what I'm seeing is, it's like they're trying to win over these centrist Republicans over, in which them people, they're not getting that vote. They need to strengthen up the Democratic vote. They need to get these progressives. These progressives are not going to vote for Gavin Newsom. They need to get somebody left-wing, true left-wing Democrat, or they need to get an outsider to come in to shake this thing up.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that needs to be shaken up, and I agree with you. But all I can do and all we can do, my friend, is call it out on a regular basis. And I am so disappointed in Gavin Newsom, and I have to speak out about it on the show today. And I appreciate you. 702-221-7283. Sakura is calling from North Las Vegas. Hello, Sakura.
Hello.
Hi, Sakura. Go right ahead.
Okay, what I'm complaining about is again with the Gavin Newsom stuff, but most importantly, especially in Vegas, about with Joe Lombardo, and so I mean, what with us in Nevada, that's what I mean. About that, like about LGBTQ communities, especially with trans.
Okay, so hold on a second. Let's go back to what you just said. Say that again. In regards to Nevada and Gavin Newsom, what did you say, sir?
I'm also a trans woman, just so you know.
Got you. Okay, ma'am. Okay, so what was that about Gavin Newsom in Nevada? Can you say that one more time, just so I can understand?
I'm saying about again, Governor Joe Lombardo.
Right.
I mean, I'm afraid something might happen. Might be putting up bans or something like that, or especially on the trans community.
Okay, so when you say ban, what specific ban are you referring to, just so I can understand?
It's mostly that just I'm afraid something like in Texas. You heard about in Texas, they're trying to ban to be a felony.
They're trying to ban what? Come again?
It's a felony in Texas. A legislative bill coming up saying about apparently it's a felony to be trans.
Okay, well, that's absurd. I would say that'll never happen. At least I hope it doesn't, my friend. But obviously, I'm on your side there. That is absolutely and utterly ridiculous. And listen, Governor Greg Abbott, as I like to call him, Governor Greg Abhole, he's a horrific human being.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't. It doesn't surprise me that he's trying to do something like that, but I don't see it happening. But then again, I have to be honest with you. I didn't think overturning of Roe versus Wade would ever happen in my lifetime either. So with these MAGA Republicans, you never know what they're going to try to do. All I can say is that I'm on your side. All I can say is that I want everyone to be treated as equals. You, anybody. I don't care what's between your legs. I don't care what your sexuality is. I don't care what the color of your skin is. What I care about is what's on the inside. Are you a decent human being? And sadly, a lot of these MAGA Republicans out there are not.
They're not.
Yeah. Well, hang in there. I don't think Joe Lombardo is going to do that. So I while I don't like our governor here in Nevada, Joe Lombardo, I will say this. I don't think he's an extreme MAGA Republican like some of these other governors. So take that for what you will. You're going to be okay. Live your life, be happy, and do the things that you want to do in life, because life is short, man. Shoot, I'm already 44 years old. I really don't know what happened. Time does fly by. Do the things that make you happy. RPT, thank you for your donation on the YouTube Super Chat. Says MAGA Republicans will stay 10 toes down working in unison. The left needs to do the same. Well, I agree with you, RPT. Unfortunately, I'm worried. Gavin Newsom was, I don't know if he is today, was one of the biggest faces in the Democrat Party. He completely embarrassed himself yesterday. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Paul. Paul is next up on PTL. Hey, Paul, what's going on, man?
Yeah, it's, this is I want to get to your answer from yesterday for my question, but first I want to address what you're saying about Democrats. All of the senators voted for Marco Rubio. All of them, that traitorous piece of trash that is siding with Vladimir Putin. Mm-hmm. 10 of them censured Al Green. Gavin Newsom had no balls on that interview. Here's what he should have said. Hey, what do you think about trans? Charlie, thanks for the question. Do you know that we had 500 mass shootings last year? We had 600 the years before. Hey, Charlie, do you know that 11% of our people that live here are living in poverty? Did you know that we had 700,000 people? So tell me, Charlie, why is it that 12 transgender athletes are the only people you're focusing on?
Paul,
that's all you had to do.
Paul, I echo exactly what you just said, my friend. All he had to do was push back, answer the question, and then push back.
Ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. He didn't do any of that. Listen, you want to give Charlie Kirk a platform? Okay, if Charlie Kirk said he was going to do this show, I would welcome him to come on. But you think I would sit there like a moron, like what Gavin Newsom looked like yesterday? Of course not.
Okay, so what about my question from yesterday?
Yeah, why don't you repeat that so the listeners know it, and then I'll answer your question.
So it's become, and I've talked to Eric Swalwell about this because he's my guy.
Yep.
It's very clear that the Democratic Party has no balls. They have no backbone, and the people that should be in leadership, like AOC and Jasmine Crockett, keep getting pushed out because they want to maintain the status quo. At this point, with as many people that are being fired, that are going on unemployment, it's going to absolutely crush the economies of these red states, and it's going to hurt a lot of people. At this point, I think we should go on a national strike.
Yeah, at this point, I think I'm with you. I was leaning a little bit against it yesterday and for the last few months. But Paul, the reason why I'm siding with you now is because it's going to get worse. The world is on fire. America is on fire. Gas prices are up. Inflation is up. Grocery prices are up. You got people losing their jobs left and right that have done absolutely nothing wrong. The stock market is down. Your 401ks are hurting. The economy is hurting. Egg prices are crazy. Unemployment is up. It's going to get worse. It's not going to get better based on Donald Trump's policies and his tariffs or his threats of tariffs. We need to do something as a country now. So my answer to you, Paul, is yes. And I do appreciate your question. And I have to be honest.
Hold on.
Yep.
Hold on. Before I go,
Yep.
hold on. So what we don't have is a leader. We don't have Neo. We don't have a Catardine. So I am proposing I will come on your show next week. You give me a date, and I will tell you what my plan is in order to do that if you're open to it.
Okay. Yeah, hit me up, and we'll work that out, Paul. And I do appreciate your call, my friend. Thank you so much. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. All right, let's see here. Who are we going to next year? Let's go. I think we're going to go to Kim. So Kim is next up on line 3. She's calling from Dallas, Texas, home of Governor Abhole. Hey, Kim, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, Kim?
I'm a little shocked with the Democrats who voted to censure, and more so because of Jared Moskowitz being such an outspoken hero in the past. So
Right.
I, too, would love to challenge and find out why he voted the way he did. I don't know how we're going to do it, but, boy, if he could come on your show, that would be interesting.
You know what? I know. I'm going to try to get him on. I think I know the way he would answer it, and it would be as follows. As Democrats, we need to be consistent. Bad behavior is bad behavior on both sides of the aisle. And if we don't call it out within our own party, then how can we call it out on the other side? He's a coward, and I'm telling you, that's the way as a politician he would answer the question. I'm pretty sure that's the way all the Democrats would answer the question. Let me tell you something. You know what I would have been okay with? I would have been okay with all the Democrats walking out at the same time and flipping Donald Trump the bird, okay? I would have been okay with that at this point. We have got to fight fire with Donald Trump. And these wussies that are Democrats that call themselves or at least they claim they care about their constituents. Why don't you toughen up, Jared Moskowitz? Grow a set.
And on the House floor, when they were doing all this stuff, am I still on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I put in chat a couple days ago, yes, they should have been more united on the floor. They could have done things differently, but it looked like a shit show even on the Democratic side.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I think their big plan was to bring those little bingo signs in there. That was their big plan, and they looked ridiculous. And listen, I said that on Piers Morgan the other day. I call a spade, and unlike these right-wing idiots, I'm willing to call out Democrats when I see it. It is what it is. But we got to stop the madness, and we need Democrats in office that are willing to fight fire with fire. And clearly, Jared Moskowitz and the 9 other Democrats that voted to censure Al Green have no guts, no backbone. Put them in the same room with like the Kevin McCarthy's of the world, as far as I'm concerned. All right, let's go back to Texas. Let's go to Chris now. Chris is calling out of Houston, Texas. Hey, Chris, thanks for calling into PTL. What's on your mind today?
Thank you for taking my call. I just want to contribute to what you're saying, because the Democrats have to grow balls. And I think the solution to that is for us to try and see how we can primary them. Anyone that goes against what the Democratic voters want, we primary them. That was what Trump used in breaking the knees of the Republicans. I think we should apply such strategy to the Democrats too.
Well, isn't that the problem, though, my friend? The Democrats don't seem to have much of a strategy. And I think a perfect example of that, a microcosm of the way they behaved or acted, or lack of their behavior, or lack of their action during Donald Trump's speech. They were disorganized. A few of them left early. Those sat in their seats, and some of them used signs at different moments. They look disorganized. They look ridiculous. And then 10 of them decide to censor Green. Get these idiots out of office. That's what I say.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's push for them to be primary. That way they would know how to behave properly.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friend, and I appreciate your call. And I also want to thank Ken Ritter, who went on pushingthelimits.live. Ken says, and Ken made a very Nice donation. Ken is from Vegas, and Ken said, Brian, this lifelong Democrat of 40 years has officially left the party. So tired of weak and cowardly Democrats. Well, Ken, I can understand why you would say that. I hope you didn't vote for Donald Trump, but I can totally understand your frustration. Pal, I'm with you. I'm with you. Jared Moskowitz is a coward. There are Democrats like Jasmine Crockett, who I love. I think she's great. I like Eric Swalwell. I think he's great. Golden is a rising up-and-comer as well. There are Democrats within the party that I have a lot of respect for. Josh Shapiro is another one. But it's not Jared Moskowitz anymore. That little weasel, just go away. Go away. I don't care what your excuse is for wanting to censor Green. You're a coward. Go away. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Thank you to Oak for your contribution. I'll use this chat to mention General Strike U.S. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Alvin. Alvin is calling out of Kansas. Hey, Alvin, what's going on?
Yeah. I've been watching you on Facebook, but they've taken you off or something.
No, I don't think anything's taken me off. I think we're just having some technical difficulties with Facebook yesterday and today. We're working on it, and we'll make sure we get that fixed by Monday. But where are you watching? I hope you're watching on my YouTube page. That's the best place to watch.
Yeah, I called you on the phone now. I can't watch you because I was watching on Occupy
Okay,
Democrats.
so hear me out. Hear me out. We'll be back up there,
Yeah.
but hear me out. The best place to watch my show is to go to my YouTube page live at PTL Radio Show. You subscribe to my YouTube page. It's absolutely free. And if you go to my YouTube page, again, at PTL Radio Show, we have a lot of people in the chat. We've built a nice community there. When we get back on Occupy, we will. We've had some technical difficulties. We'll be back up there. I've had some issues on my own personal Facebook page as well, but we're also on TikTok, but YouTube and X as well, but YouTube. Okay, my friend?
Yeah, what's your radio station number?
It's KSHP in Las Vegas, but wherever you are throughout the country, again, I would say just watch on my YouTube page at PTL Radio Show. That is the best place to watch this show every day, and I also put up extra content on there, and I do shorts up there, and we have a lot of fun. Thank you for the call, my friend. 702-221-7283. Do you guys think that I am overreacting with my criticism of Gavin Newsom? Do you guys think I'm overreacting when I criticize the 10 Democrats that voted to censor Al Green? Do you guys think I'm wrong? Because if you do think I'm wrong, I'll hear you out. I don't think I'm wrong. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Steve. Steve is calling out of Illinois. Hey, Steve, what's up?
Hey, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
A quick question before I get to a couple points. So when you say censor Al Green, I know what censorship is, but what does that mean in Congress? I'm confused by that.
So they are punishing him, and he could be off some, what's the word I'm looking for? So they are punishing him for his behavior, and I think boards are the wrong word. I'm trying to find the right word to use, but there are going to be certain boards or commissions. I'm trying to remember the correct word. That he will not be allowed on now, and it's a punishment for his behavior. Committees. Thank you, everybody in the YouTube chat. I had a brain fart there. So there's certain committees that he will not be allowed to be on because of this. They did do this with Marjorie Taylor Greene years back when Kevin McCarthy was in there. So censure is very different than censor. I want to be very clear on that. When you censor somebody, it's what the MAGA Republicans always go, oh, they're censoring me on X, they're censoring me on social media. A censure is what these Republicans and these 10 Democrat cowards have done when it comes to Green, and he'll be off certain committees, barred from certain committees. And I think it's ridiculous. I think these Democrats are cowards. I expect that from the Republicans, but not these 10 Democrats, especially a guy like a Jared Moskowitz. I'm done with him. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Thank you for explaining that. And I agree. The Democrats are weak. That's why I'm not a Democrat. There's a guy close to me, but not in my district, who's a do nothing Democrat named Bill Foster from Illinois. He wins all the time. He's a do nothing congressman. I'm not sure why people still vote.
I'm not sure why.
Especially when
I'm not sure why a lot of people.
Especially when he has a house in New York and he never spends time in Illinois.
Correct.
So And the Congress, I'm not crazy about them. Can I bring up a point from yesterday?
Quickly,
that,
quickly. Go ahead.
You,
Quickly,
that
go
you
ahead.
brought up about Derek Chauvin.
Yeah.
My wife said, she said, "Oh, shouldn't disagree with him." But I said, "Oh, well, I will." I kind of disagree with you on Derek Chauvin. Like, from my point of view is, and I've watched the fall of Minneapolis, and I hated how the mayor and the attorney general there treated that police department and made them move out of that police
Okay, but
department.
hold on.
because
Let's backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
So you think Derek Chauvin should be pardoned? Do I have your opinion correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
what did the two autopsies? What was the cause of death?
Well, the cause of death because the autopsies changed. The coroner had to change them after pressure from the attorney general.
Okay, but what did the original two
to-
what did the original two autopsies say the cause of death was?
Did it say asphyxiation?
Yes. Well, even worse. Yes, you're right, but it was homicide. So
Okay.
they did not
Okay.
say that George Floyd died from a fentanyl overdose. So with that being said, there is not one police station in the country that says it's okay to put your knee on somebody's neck for 8 or 9 minutes when they are handcuffed on their stomach with their hands behind their back and they're not resisting. Derek Chauvin did that. If Derek Chauvin did not do that, George Floyd would still be alive. That's number one. Number two, Derek Chauvin had a history. He did this with another African-American young man that was 17 or 18 years old. Number two. Number three, Derek Chauvin worked in a nightclub part-time. In that nightclub, there were employees that said he openly slurred and used the N-word. This was a guy that had a history of being a racist. This was the guy that abused his power. And this was a guy that should have never been allowed to be a police officer to begin with. We all saw that video with our own eyes. The man is on his stomach. His hands are behind his back. He's handcuffed. He's not going anywhere. While that is going on, George Floyd is begging and saying he cannot breathe. George Floyd is begging him. And Derek Chauvin doesn't blink an eye. We know what happened to George Floyd. The autopsies showed what happened to George Floyd. He did not die of a drug overdose. By the way, even if he did die of a drug overdose, Derek Chauvin still put his knee on his neck for 8 or 9 minutes. And that was not policy of the Minneapolis Police Department or any police department throughout the country. So I'm trying to understand. A jury of his peers found that he was convicted, guilty of murder. Why would you want somebody like that back out on the streets?
My point, I did think he did take it too far. He should have stopped when there's that nurse nearby who told him to stop. That was too far. However, if you look at the video, the problem I have with the video is how many times did they tell George Floyd to calm down, to sit down, to
He was
comply?
lying. He wasn't.
He never.
Let's focus on the 8 or 9 minutes where he was complying. The 8 or 9 most important minutes of that video. The last 9 minutes of George Floyd's life. Not what happened before. What happened when the knee was on the neck? Was he not complying? Was he trying to get away in the 8 or 9 minutes that Derek Chauvin's knee was on his neck? What was he doing?
I mean, no, because he was.
I agree. So
not in control.
Okay, I agree.
So, yeah.
So I agree with you. So he's not in control. His hands are behind his back. He's handcuffed. He's not trying to get anywhere. He's not resisting. That is why Derek Chauvin is a convicted murderer. And again, I repeat, because this is very important. Both autopsies showed the cause of death was homicide, asphyxiation. We all saw the video. So that's why it's sort of academic when you see what happened the prior moments before. We're talking about the 9 minutes. Derek Chauvin wasn't prosecuted because anything that happened before then. He was prosecuted for that 9 minutes for the knee on the neck. And I'm trying to understand, why do you want to die on this hill? Why do you want this guy to be pardoned? I'm just confused. Why would you be okay with that?
It's not I have a couple friends who are cops, and I've heard their perspectives, and I'm not saying every police officer is perfect, but I don't think when a police officer wakes up in the morning, the last thing they want to do is be on the news.
But hold
and kill someone.
Hold on. He wasn't convicted of premeditated murder. That's irrelevant. That's not what we're talking about. If he was, then I would agree with you. I probably don't think that Derek Chauvin woke up in the morning and said, hey, I want to, end someone's life. I agree with you. doesn't mean he's not a murderer. It doesn't mean that he doesn't deserve to be a convicted murderer. So that's kind of irrelevant to this conversation because he wasn't convicted of premeditated murder. So I ask you again, what is your defense and why do you think this guy should be out on the streets? He's a convicted murderer.
I guess my defense is when I saw the documentary about the fall of Minneapolis and other police officers talking about how the chief of police actually lied and said that Chauvin did not follow protocol.
And was that proven in the courtroom? Because we can also quote 2,000 Mules because that was also labeled a documentary that claimed Donald Trump won the 2020 election. Sir, the point I'm trying to make is I don't look at documentaries to form my opinions because they're not proven in a court of law. With all due respect, it was proven in a court of law that Derek Chauvin murdered George Floyd. The jury had an opportunity to look at the evidence. Derek Chauvin had the opportunity to have a defense. It was proven that he murdered George Floyd. The autopsies, both of them, proven that he died of homicide, asphyxiation. Those are just the facts I'm giving you. These are facts. Like, why do you want somebody like that out on the streets? My friend, I'm trying to understand. I'm hearing you, but you're bringing up the premeditation part, which is irrelevant. He wasn't charged with that or convicted of that. Then you're bringing up what a few select cops that you spoke to might have said. They didn't hear or see all the evidence. And then, you're talking to me about things that, in my opinion, are not relevant to the case. That's all.
Well, I don't think he should be charged with homicide, but and in my opinion,
why not?
Still is that the coroner was pressured. It should be manslaughter, or at least lower it to manslaughter, accidental.
Okay, so if he got 10 years for manslaughter, would you still be okay with him being pardoned today?
I'd be fine with that. Yeah, because I don't think his intention was to.
Okay, but hear me out. Hear me out. What you're saying, because I'm trying to understand. You agree with me that if he got convicted of manslaughter, which you think he did, I think we agree on that, you wouldn't want a pardon, but you're okay with him being a free man today because he got convicted of a stronger crime and murder? You're not making sense. You're saying, okay, I
would want him to be pardoned even if he was convicted of manslaughter.
So you would?
Yeah.
You would want him pardoned?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I 150% disagree with you based on the evidence and based on everything that was shown in the case. And, let me ask you a question. Do you think all these right-wingers out there would be defending Derek Chauvin if Derek Chauvin was black and George Floyd was white?
No, because I think a lot of them now, especially the MAGA ones, are on the side of being prejudiced.
Do you think Derek Chauvin would have kept that knee on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes if George Floyd was a white man wearing a suit and tie?
That's a good question. I don't think he would have done that had it been a rich.
Okay, I agree.
Man.
So okay, I appreciate you admitting that. So hear me out on this. Yeah. You're saying that Derek Chauvin treated a man differently because of the color of his skin. Because of that treatment, George Floyd is dead. And you're telling me you're okay with a former cop who treated somebody differently and killed a man in part because of the color of his skin, which, by the way, we agree, and you're okay with that guy being pardoned? Think about what you're saying, my friend.
Oh, you dug me into a hole there. You have
with all due respect, with all due respect, hold on. With all due respect, I didn't dig you into a hole. With respect, I think you dug yourself into a hole. On one aspect, you're agreeing with me, which I appreciate, that Derek Chauvin probably wouldn't have done that to a wealthy white guy. In essence, you're saying he did what he did in part because George Floyd was black, but yet George Floyd is dead because of Derek Chauvin's behavior, whether you think it's manslaughter or murder, beside the point, and you want somebody like that to be free? You're better than that, my friend.
All I'm saying is he was George Floyd was acting very erratically before that.
But hold on. Hold on. Acting erratically is not an excuse for what Derek Chauvin did. Now, if George Floyd had taken out a weapon or was trying to use deadly force, we are having a completely different conversation. George Floyd earlier on was resisting a little bit. The officers were never in danger. He might have been trying to get away. But I go back to what I said to you earlier in this conversation. That is irrelevant. All that is relevant is the 8 or 9 minutes where Derek Chauvin had the knee on George Floyd's neck. You have agreed with me that that was probably the cause of death. You agree with me that he probably did it in part because of the color of George Floyd's skin. You agree with me that you would have been okay with a manslaughter charge. So again, why would you want somebody who kills somebody in part because of the color of their skin, which is awful? By the way, I agree with you on that. And that's the guy you want to be pardoned, not people that are in jail right now for marijuana charges or people that are in jail right now for maybe a little bit of civil disobedience, or maybe people that are in jail right now for non-violent offenses. Maybe they've had some substance abuse issues. Those are the people that I think should be pardoned, not people like Derek Chauvin, who killed a man in part because he's black.
I mean, I see what you're saying. I want all those nonviolent offenders released.
Okay,
I mean,
so can we agree?
shouldn't be
Can we
paying for
agree?
them in
We
prison.
can agree to disagree a little bit. Can we come to a consensus? If you think Derek Chauvin was overcharged and overconvicted, I will respectfully disagree with you on that. However, can we not die on the hill that Derek Chauvin should be pardoned? Can we, at the end of this conversation, I hear with part of what you are saying. Can we come to a conclusion together that maybe Derek Chauvin shouldn't be on the list of people that should be pardoned? Can I get you to at least agree with me on that?
Oh gosh, I love your show and I love your opinions most of the time, but I cannot.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
cannot. I'm sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, fair enough.
Fair enough. You won this, and you won this debate. You're a better
I'm not trying to win.
debater than I.
No, listen, sir. I'm not.
I
sir,
know.
I'm
I
not
know.
trying. It's not a competition to me. I'm not trying to win it. And you sound like a really nice guy. I'm not trying to win a debate with you, right? I appreciate you saying that, but that's not my intention. My intention is just to try to understand where you're coming from. You admitted to me that Derek Chauvin is a racist for the most part, because you admitted to me that he treated George Floyd different because he's black, and that George Floyd would probably be alive today if he was white. That's bad enough. So you got a horrible cop, a racist cop who treats people differently because of the color of one's skin, and that's the guy you want to be pardoned. That's very difficult. But I do appreciate the conversation, and I appreciate your call. And I actually made that same case on the Pierce Morgan show the other day. 70. It's okay to disagree with me. I just disagree with that caller 100%. 702-221-7283. By the way, thank you, Hockey Girl 1994, for your donation. Hockey Girl says it's Dan Goldman, not Golden. You're welcome. Well, thank you, Hockey. Yes, sometimes I do pronounce names wrong from time to time when I do a radio show, and I certainly admit that when I do. I also want to thank Ken for his contribution. He bought a T-shirt on pushingthelimits.live. Thank you, Ken, for your contribution on pushingthelimits.live. We also have the super chat going. We're about halfway to our goal. Your questions and comments will be read on the air. 702-221-7283. Tina, thank you. Let's light up with this. Too funny, too stupid. Trump administration slammed for linking World War II planes to DEI. Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me, Tina, at all. Thank you for your donation. 702-221-7283. Let's get back to the phone lines. Karen is calling out of Arizona. Hey, Karen, what's going on?
Hey, Brian.
Hey.
So, I just wanted to say, first and foremost, I thought you were brilliant on Pierce Morgan. Very entertaining, very informative.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, of course. And so my question right now, and it's a little off topic, is anyone seeing what's going on with this up and down tariff situation in the stock market? And is anyone able to go ahead and call Donald Trump out already on him just manipulating the stock market for his buddies and himself and forever whoever?
That's who Donald Trump is.
I
find it disgusting as well. That's who Donald Trump is. We all know the crypto scandal, right? The $6 billion crypto scandal from what, 6 weeks ago. So you're absolutely right, and we should be calling it out. Donald Trump has only been out to enrich himself and his close friends. We know that. It's the same thing with Elon Musk. The same thing applies to Elon Musk, my dear. So, yeah, I think we all need to call it out, and I'm glad you took the opportunity to call into the show and do so. Thank you, Kerosene Kara, for your donation. When people show you who they are, believe them. Yes, I agree. I wish all people had that logic and the ability to do the same. Let's go back to the phone line. 702-221-7283 is the number. Let's go to Brandon, who's calling out of California. Hello, Brandon.
Hey, Brian, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Okay, so I want to, it's relevant to these topics. There's a movie that just, and actually won the Academy Award. It's called Enora. It's a film by a guy named Sean Baker. He's the guy who did the Florida Project a few years ago. But anyway, the reason that it's germane to these themes is that it's about a young woman who is a sex worker in, I think, Brooklyn or something like that. Anyway, she links up with this guy. He's the son of some Russian mob boss, and he's wealthy and all this stuff. It's a forbidden romance because their father, his father is.
Wait, they're not talking about Melania. This is not Melania Trump, the sex worker. Okay, I was just asking. I'm sorry. I digress. Go ahead.
No, but I mean, it's ultimately doing kind of a Romeo and Juliet style story.
Yes.
And ultimately, but it ends on a note really that resonated, I think, with me because it resonated on a note of with the things that we need are sovereignty and community. And sometimes those things are obviously in conflict with each other. But I think that that's ultimately
I'll have to.
we need to.
I'll have to check this out. I haven't seen or heard of it, but I will check it out and then give me a call back and I'll tell you what I think about it. Let's see who we going to do next here. We have to go to the MAGA destroyer, don't we? Darlene, what's happening? Hi, Darlene.
Brian.
Yes, ma'am.
Brian. You may not told that guy that you just talked to, but I'm going to tell him. Dude, the one that was on the caller, how dare you? How dare you say that about Derek Chauvin? He is nothing but a murderer. And that is so disrespectful to George Floyd and his family. And I just cannot believe it, Brian, that's what's wrong with our world now. It's so crazy.
Well, I tried to, and I got him to agree that Derek Chauvin is racist, and partially the reason why what took place was because George Floyd was black. What's amazing to me is I got him to admit that, and yet he still was okay with Chauvin getting a pardon if he does, which I hope he doesn't. That was the part of the phone call that was kind of mesmerizing to me.
I'm so pissed. I'm mad.
Well, there's a lot.
I can't believe that people are still saying that.
I hear you, Darlene, and I listen. I have to verbally fight with these people every single day, and I try to get them to change their minds. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, and that's really all I can do, Darlene. And it's always so great to hear from you, Darlene. You're always so fired up, and I love it. Thank you for the call. Let's go to Paul. Paul on line 1 is calling out of Texas. Hey, Paul, what's going on?
Hey, how are you doing, Brian?
Good. What's on your mind, Paul?
Yes. Hey, nice job with having to deal with the array of MAGA brain idiots that you had to deal with there on Piers Morgan. I haven't watched an episode of that until I saw that you were going to be on there, and I was like, yeah. In any case, I wanted to bring up the fact that why now with Derek Chauvin? Why not in 2020 when Trump was president the first time? My thoughts is that they are just trying to use this as just trying to pull the wool over eyes so that way they can go on and do whatever else they're doing.
Listen, own the libs. All they care about is owning the libs. And we had a great guest on yesterday, Mr. Ali, who joined us yesterday, and he made such a great point, which is they want people like you and me to suffer, the anti-Trumpers. They want us to suffer. But yet most people in this country that are anti-Trump don't care who you voted for. They just don't want people to suffer. I don't want MAGA supporters to suffer. I don't want MAGA supporters and members of their family to be deported if they're not violent criminals.
Exactly.
But so many of these MAGA supporters thrive, and they want liberals to suffer. You know why? Because they're bad people. That's why.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no question. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And the point that you were bringing up was heard It was like the shot around the world as far as what was heard when you were talking about being consistent with that.
Yep.
The people who have 3 digits of IQ understood what you were talking about in regard to that. The people that were just like, oh no, I'm just going to listen to whatever this guy has to say.
Right.
And then they take out their little number one, Nerf hand, and they're like, see, we owned them that time.
It's like Ben Shapiro and these morons out there on the far right and the Charlie Kirks and others that, call for Derek Chauvin to get a pardon. They don't understand the facts in the case. They don't understand the 2 autopsies showing the cause of death was homicide, and they don't care. What they saw is a white police officer doing what they thought was great, which was putting a knee on the neck of a black man for 8 or 9 minutes, and then that black man dying. That's all they care about. They want Derek Chauvin back. If they had it their way, Chauvin would be probably working in Donald Trump's administration, or he'd be working side by side with Tom Homan. I mean, that's how sick these people are, my friend. They're sick. And that slob, Tom Homan, I wish he would be deported. Let's go to Boo Boo, who's calling out of New Jersey. Boo Boo, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. I want to touch on something that not really many people are talking about, but is the reduction in the offense of the cyber to Russia and, of course, to the Ukraine. We see what that has done with Russia's bombing last night. But I think a lot of people don't realize I worked in scam prevention as a victim advocate for the last 5 years, recently stopped. I was also a informant for the FBI for a community of people that go after scammers, giving intelligence to the FBI through their work with offense to people that are being scammed in the United States and Canada. And this reduction in offense against Russia puts a big strain on the FBI. I was very, very disappointed to see the New York head of FBI pushed out. I was privileged enough in November to have a meeting with some of his people regarding a takedown that was conducted in India. And what a lot of people don't realize, pardon?
I'm sorry to interrupt because we've got time constraints, but did you see when he was walking out of his office on his last day, the round of applause he got from everybody?
Yes, I most certainly did. And it was heartbreaking because his people are wonderful. And they do work with the American public as far as scam prevention is concerned. And this reduction in cyber offense affects people. It bothers me. Elon Musk's platform X is probably the biggest offender for scammers. Scam people.
It's not only that.
Romance.
It's not only that, but the bullying and the hatred. And you have Melania Trump, who is on this tour, anti-bullying on social media when she has been contractually married to the bullier in chief. It is a joke, my dear. Thank you for the call. Also, thank you to Oak for your donation. Says the caller a few callers ago, the caller would have been okay with lynchings back in the good old days. Boy, I certainly hope not. I certainly hope not. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa went on pushingthelimits.live and made a donation. Lisa, we appreciate your support of the show as well. Thank you so much. So, I always love it on a Friday, right? Sometimes I lose track of what day it is, but I always love it. Thank you, Darlene, by the way, for your donation as well. I love Brian and Numchuck. We love you too, Darlene. You're the best. I always love it on a Friday when we get some positive news. Boy, there's negative news out there today, right? I'm not going to lie to you. There's a lot of negative news out there, but you see this beautiful young lady on this show every Friday, and unfortunately, I missed her last Friday because I was out on the golf course. But she is known as a former pastor, now life coach, and you've seen her on a bunch of different shows, including Jimmy Kimmel over 5 times, and she's also been on the Dr. Phil show. Are you kidding me? Nicole Mitchell joining us right now on a Friday. Nicole, it is so good to see you as always. How are you?
Hi, Brian. Happy Friday. I love our time together. I'm so good.
Yes, it is so good to see you. So we have some fun stories. We have some very interesting stories. Verizon erased $10 million of consumer debt for 6,500 North Carolina residents. This is actually really cool. Tell me about. I didn't even know about this story.
I know it's amazing what can happen when we actually put our best foot forward as humans and don't do it just for profit, but we actually do it for the betterment of humanity. So their town was affected by a hurricane, and we just know how easy it is to fall behind and how hard America makes it to stay out of debt. And so Verizon came together and wiped out debt, I think for 1,500 families. And these families wrote in saying this was life changing. For some other person, having $10,000 in debt is no big deal. For us, it was absolutely crushing. And now I can wake up with no debt. Like, we cannot thank you enough. So it made me respect Verizon a little bit more, that they're not just in it for the
Yeah.
profit, but they're actually giving back.
I was just going to say that. You stole the words out of my mouth. So this is a really cool story, and kudos to Verizon. All right. So, we all talk about people that live to 100 and what a great milestone it is. But this story just takes the cake. There's this party-loving senior that recently just celebrated their 105th birthday with a DJ and a rave. Now, I'm 44 years old. I feel like I'm too old to do these raves, right? I did those stuff in my 20s. Tell me about this. 105 years old with a DJ. I mean, that's just like, this is so cool.
She's so inspiring. So my goal, Brian, is to live to 100. So to see a woman who's 105 and she's like still lively and living her best life, and she's like, I want to rave. And so the nursing home staff came together. They booked a DJ. Jägermeister donated drinks to their party, though most of them chose not to drink. And she got up and danced in her walker, and nursing home staff was saying she thinks she learned it from TV, seeing all these big raves happen. She's like, I want to experience a rave. And so they threw her a rave for her 105th.
Oh my God, that is so cool. I wonder if there was some alcohol involved as well.
It was donated. Jägermeister donated drinks to them. And then it said most of the individuals drank soda because they didn't want to drink booze, but it was there and available if they so desired.
Oh my God, what a
So
cool
good.
story. I wonder if there's video of this anywhere. I got to find
Oh
this
my God,
video on social
we should
media.
find
Yeah.
it.
How
Yes.
cool is that? I can't wait to see this awesome, cool lady. Imagine if that's like your grandma or your mom raving at 105.
Brian,
Man,
that's
that's
going to be
cool.
us. Just you wait. We're going to throw our own rave when we're 100 years old, and we're going to have the best time.
You'll probably make it. I don't think I will, based on my diet of peanut butter and jelly and soda, but I hope so. So how about, I'm all for like pranks. I like pranks, and I like, as long as people aren't getting hurt. I think pranks, for the most part, they make people laugh, they make people smile. But there's this, I've never heard of a pothole prank before. Apparently, there's a man that erected his fake legs in the road, and in a neglected hole was promptly filled within 4 days. Tell me about this.
So apparently there was this giant pothole. I think this was in Cambridge,
Yeah.
and it was like 3 feet wide. And they had been asking for it to be filled. It was on this road that people drove all the time. 8 months went by, and the city did nothing. So
Wow.
finally, this man's like, "Why don't we have a little fun with it?" So him and his wife and kid built like a torso and legs of a human, stuck it down the pothole, put like wood sticks through the jeans, stuffed the shoes with socks, and within 4 days of seeing a man in the pothole, the city fixed the pothole and then just left the dummy on the side of the road. And I just love the creativity to get stuff done, but they did it in a humorous way.
Yeah, that's good. It definitely got their attention, that's for sure, and got the job done, filled up that pothole. Thank God. We have a lot of potholes in Las Vegas. Don't even get me started with all the construction here. So what do you got going on this weekend, Nicole?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm spending a lot of time on my OnlyFans. I traveled a lot in February for my birthday. I went to Belize. And so now I feel like this weekend is me catching up in the DMs with my OnlyFans. And I have a photo shoot. I'm always shooting super hot content.
Nice. Yes, and you were in Las Vegas not that long ago. We had a good time. So that was
we had
also a lot of fun. Well, I look forward to you coming back to Las Vegas.
Me too.
Have a good time this weekend. Stay safe out there. Looking great as always. And we will see you next week. Have a great weekend, Nicole. It's great to see you. All
Bye,
right.
Brian.
There you go. That's Nicole Mitchell, everybody. I don't know when the next time is she's going on Jimmy Kimmel, but she's going to have to tell me, because I got to see her next Jimmy Kimmel appearance. I love Jimmy Kimmel, by the way. By the way, Jimmy Kimmel was just honored here in Las Vegas last weekend. He was honored for the Lou Brain Institute, a big charity event. Jimmy Kimmel is absolutely the best. So, listen, we have a lot going on in the world, right? And I pray for all the people in Ukraine right now, and innocent people in Russia that are losing their lives as well. It's horrible. But I want all of you to keep in mind that Donald Trump is the guy who decided to not partner and halt support for Ukraine along with intelligence. And that is partially the reason why Vladimir Putin did what he did. And also, I wouldn't be surprised to at least believe, in my personal opinion, that Putin and Trump are working together, and Trump knew that this was going to happen. I don't think that's far-fetched. So that's what I personally believe. So we have a lot going on in the world. We have some very special guests that are going to be joining us next week. And I want to just bring those guests to your attention again. You want to talk about guests on the opposite end of the spectrum. Enrique Tarrio, the leader of the Proud Boys, does not do a lot of long-form interviews. He has agreed to come on this show next week. We are going to get into, I'm sure, a very good and spirited debate. So Enrique, who I just spoke with on the phone the other day, is going to be, he is familiar with this show, and he is going to be coming on next week. That is going to be a very interesting conversation. Luke Beasley is one of the more popular left-leaning podcasters. I think he does a wonderful job. Luke is a very intelligent guy. He's very similar in some aspects to like an Adam Mockler, who also does this show from time to time. I have not spoken to Luke Beasley yet, but we've been in contact, and Luke Beasley is also going to be joining us on the show next week. So I'm really looking forward to speaking to Luke. Roland Martin is one of my favorites. I follow him on social media, really intelligent guy, very popular left-leaning host. Roland Martin is also going to be joining us on the show next week. So those are just a few. There's one other guest that I'm still working on, a big-name guest for next week as well. But those are the three guests that are going to be joining me on the show next week. So I'm certainly looking forward to that. And, you know, when you guys say, hey, you should get that guy on, you should get this person on, I listen to my guests. And I listen to my listeners. Can I say that? I listen to my listeners. And I always try. So those guests are going to be joining us on the show next week. I hope everybody has a safe weekend out there. You know, my weekends, I try to have a little bit of escape away from radio. I try to do the things that make me happy. I hope all of you are doing the same. You know, last week I saw a concert, my friend Richard Patrick from Filter, and I saw Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains, and was hanging out with those guys, and those are some of my musical idols growing up. So went on the tour bus, hanging out with those guys. It was so much fun. And this weekend we're going to have some fun as well. I'm planning on going to the UFC fights tomorrow night, so that's going to be a lot of fun at T-Mobile Arena. I was invited in a suite, so I know that's going to be a good time. Tonight, there's this big grunge fest going on. Alternative rock music in Las Vegas that I'm looking at. That's like kind of the music I grew up with. So planning on doing that. And then Sunday I was invited to a birthday party, which is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that as well. It's going to be a fun, laid back weekend for myself. And I suggest all of you do the same. And then on Monday, we are going to hit it hard. We are going to go right back at it. When I say hit it hard, I'm not talking about the 14 seconds of fun that Donald Trump had with Stormy Daniels. I don't want you to conflate the two, okay? Or taking Lauren Boebert to a Beetlejuice play. I'm not talking about that type of fun, okay? I don't want you guys to be mixed up. I do want to thank our great sponsor, Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones, home of the Pass the Puck contest, where you could win up to $500 in free slot play just for walking in there and playing the machine during a Vegas Golden Knights game. Great food, great atmosphere, some of the best lunches I've ever had. The official gaming bar of the PTL radio show. Check them out at Flamingo and Jones, Jackson's Bar and Grill. This is also an independently owned radio show. We almost reached our goal on YouTube. But if you enjoy the show and you enjoy what you do, I would ask that you guys can do a number of different things. I would start, the first thing you can do for me is go to my website, pushingthelimits.live. When you go to pushingthelimits.live, sign up for my YouTube page. We've had a couple callers today say, hey, how come you're not on Facebook today? Sometimes we have glitches on Facebook. That way you can sign up for my YouTube page and watch my show, subscribe at PTL Radio Show. We also ask that you make donations if you can. $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, whatever you can afford at pushingthelimits.live. We also sell PTL merchandise up there. Shirts, hats, beanies, mugs, you name it. We sell it. That's how you can support what we do so we can keep the lights on here. And, of course, the YouTube chat. We got the YouTube Super Chat still going. And I know even after the show, a lot of people are hanging out there. And I love that. The YouTube chat is still going. The Super Chat is still going, a little short of our goal today. But we appreciate everybody that has made very charitable contributions. I really hope everybody has a great weekend. I'm so proud of what we've accomplished here at PTL, and it wouldn't be without all of you. We have some of the smartest, most informed and educated listeners around, and we have such a wonderful community. Darlene, thank you all. Darlene says, y'all have a great weekend and stay out of trouble. Thank you all for your support. Thank you all for what you do. We're going to be back at it Monday. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Luke Beasley is going to be joining us on Monday. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a